man in his 40s stands at a crossroads, looking out at his life. Years of hard work, responsibilities, and obligations have led him to this point. But now what? His dreams, his real aspirations, have been put on hold for too long. Is it too late to focus on what truly matters? Or has he wasted the one thing he'll never get back? Time? The truth is, many men find themselves in this position. Life happens quickly, and before long, we've allowed others' expectations, distractions, and endless demands to guide our paths. But here's the million-dollar question. Is it possible to change course now, no matter where you are in life? And what if the power to do so lies within your own hands, if only you could reclaim focus and purpose? Let's dive into this idea. Your dreams haven't disappeared. The strength to follow them is right under your nose. But it requires a shift away from being sidetracked by the noise around you, away from living someone else's story, and into a life driven by your vision. It's time to stop looking out for answers elsewhere and start finding them within yourself. Before we get started, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more content like this. Content that helps you reclaim focus, purpose, and mental toughness. Number 1. Are you wasting the one thing you can't get back? Time is the one thing we all have, yet it's the one thing we often waste the most. We get caught up in the hustle, responding to other people's demands, conforming to expectations, and dealing with distractions. But at the end of the day, when we look back, what do we have to show for it? Hours, days, and years slip away like sand through our fingers, and we're left wondering, what could I have done with all that time? Think about someone who's been focused on climbing the corporate ladder for years, sacrificing time with family, friends, and personal passions. At first, everything seems worthwhile. The promotions, the pay raises, the status. But eventually, something shifts. Years have gone by, and suddenly they realize they've missed out on what truly mattered. Creating memories, pursuing their dreams, and perhaps even cultivating meaningful relationships. They reach a point where they ask themselves, was all that effort worth it? Was I focusing on the right things? For this person, the loss isn't just about missed opportunities. It's about lost time, the one resource that can never be replaced. And that's the real tragedy here. Once time is gone, it doesn't come back. As we grow older, we begin to realize that it's not just about what we accomplish. It's about how we live those moments that make up our lives. It's about asking ourselves, am I using my time wisely, on things that truly fulfill me, or am I letting distractions take over? This realization hits a lot of people in their 30s and 40s. They look around and wonder if the sacrifices they've made were truly in pursuit of a purpose that was worth the cost. Maybe they've built a successful career, but at what expense? What happens when the dreams you once had have been shelved indefinitely? Or worse, forgotten entirely? This shift in awareness happens more often than we might expect. A man in his 40s, after years of relentless work, finally stops to ask himself if there is more to life than just chasing the next paycheck, moving up the ladder, or meeting others' expectations. It's a wake-up call. But the good news is it's never too late to make a change. Every single one of us has dreams. Big dreams, small dreams. Whatever they are, they define who we are and what we strive for. But dreams can easily fade into the background when we get bogged down in the mundane tasks of daily life. We become reactive, responding to what others need or want, instead of being proactive about what we need and want for our fulfillment. And without even realizing it, our dreams start to lose their power. Consider how you've spent the past few months. Have you been living intentionally? Have you made time for what matters to you? Or have you been moving from task to task, from day to day, just going through the motions? We often think we'll get back to those things one day, but that one day may never come if we don't make it happen now. The Stoics teach us an essential lesson. Time is a precious and limited resource. How we spend it speaks volumes about our priorities. Marcus Aurelius, one of the greatest Stoic philosophers, once said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." In those few words, he encapsulates the urgency we should feel when it comes to time. Tomorrow is never promised, and the moments we waste today are gone forever. Have you ever considered how differently you might live if you stopped postponing your dreams for later? What could you achieve if you focused more on what matters most to you, rather than getting caught up in the day-to-day demands of others? This isn't just about making more time, but making better use of the time you already have. We are in control of how we allocate our time. It's our choice. We can either continue allowing ourselves to be swept along by circumstances, or we can take the reins and design our lives with intention. It doesn't require some huge dramatic change overnight. It's about slowly refocusing your attention on your own goals, no matter how small the steps may seem. Are you ready to take a hard look at how you're spending your time and ask yourself, what could I achieve if I dedicated just a little more of my time to my dreams, and a little less to fulfilling others' expectations? Number 2. Are others' opinions holding you back? We all know that one person who seems to have an opinion on everything. They love to share what you should do, how you should live, and even when they think you're making the wrong move. But let me ask you this. Are these voices, the opinions of others, helping you build the life you want? Or are they holding you back from pursuing your dreams? It's easy to get caught in the trap of thinking that everyone else's opinion matters more than our own. But when you stop and think about it, do these opinions really carry more weight than your own sense of purpose and direction? Most of the time, the answer is no. Yet, we keep putting the priorities and expectations of others first, as if we have to live up to them to be happy, successful, or validated. Consider a man who's in his 40s, someone who's spent much of his life listening to what other people thought was best for him. He followed the crowd, made career choices based on advice from his family and peers, and sacrificed his dreams just to fit in. But as the years went on, he began to feel like something was missing. Sure, he had success by society's standards, but deep down, he realized that he was living someone else's life, not his own. He asked himself, why am I letting their voices dictate what I want from mine? This man's experience is not unique. Many of us find ourselves living according to the rules of others because it feels safer, easier, or less confrontational. But the truth is that this constant reliance on others' opinions can become a form of self-sabotage, chaining us to an existence that doesn't reflect who we truly are or what we desire. It's crucial to remember that not all opinions are created equal. Some are helpful, certainly, offering wisdom and perspective. But others, they often come from a place of fear or a desire to control. People will say things like, "Are you sure this is the right move?" Or, "Don't you think you're taking a big risk?" They might mean well, but what they are doing is projecting their uncertainties and fears onto you. The Stoic philosopher Epictetus taught that we should focus only on things within our control. And guess what? The opinions of others aren't within your control. What others say or think is theirs to carry, not yours. But far too often, we end up carrying those opinions as if they were ours. We believe their doubts, their warnings, and their suggestions are legitimate, when in reality, it's your own heart and mind that hold the keys to your happiness and success. And here's the kicker. By giving too much weight to the opinions of others, you become paralyzed, stuck in a cycle of indecision and inaction. The longer you put off following your dreams, the more difficult it becomes to start. You begin to wonder, what if I fail? What if I disappoint them? But the real question is, what if I succeed and feel fulfilled, alive, and proud of the choices I've made? Here's something that may surprise you. Most people who offer advice don't live your life. They aren't walking in your shoes. They don't know your unique passions or what it feels like to want something bigger, different, or more meaningful. And while their opinions may come from a place of love or concern, they have no bearing on what's best for you. Take a moment to think about your own life. Are there areas where you've let others' judgments slow you down? Maybe it's time to evaluate whether these influences are truly serving your goals, or if you've been letting them hold you back. Sometimes, to move forward, you have to leave behind the noise of others' expectations and trust in your own judgment. This isn't about being reckless or dismissing wise counsel. It's about building the strength to stand in your own truth. Ask yourself, who is the most important person in my life when it comes to making decisions, me or someone else? Because the truth is, if you don't make your own decisions, someone else will. And I'm sure you've already figured out that it's far more fulfilling to live the life you choose, not the life others think is best for you. When it comes down to it, are you going to let the opinions of others define your journey? Or will you start trusting yourself to forge your path? It's time to stop wasting energy on what they think, and instead invest that energy into what you truly believe will bring fulfillment and meaning to your life. Number 3. What would you accomplish if you stopped overthinking? Overthinking is a silent killer of dreams. It's the voice in your head that replays every decision you've ever made, second-guessing every step you take, while keeping you stuck in a cycle of uncertainty and doubt. What would you accomplish if you could just turn off that internal chatter for a while and take action without constant hesitation? The truth is, you could achieve far more than you think. There's a man in his 40s, someone with a wealth of experience and aspirations, but for years, he struggled to take action. Why? Because he spent too much time obsessing over the smallest details, the what-ifs, the potential mistakes, the perfect timing. In the end, hesitation cost him opportunities. As time went on, he realized that his biggest obstacle wasn't the world around him, but his own mind. The very act of overthinking held him back more than anything else. Now imagine if he had simply stopped second-guessing himself. Imagine if, instead of endlessly analyzing every move, he had just acted, small steps at a time, toward what he wanted. The possibilities would be endless. By stepping out of the overthinking loop, he would have gained momentum, learned from missteps, and kept moving forward, rather than remaining stuck in a constant state of what if. It's natural to feel the urge to meticulously plan out every detail before making a move. The fear of making a mistake or taking the wrong path keeps us frozen and unsure about the future. But ask yourself, how many opportunities have you passed by because you spent too much time thinking about the what-ifs? How many ideas were abandoned before they had the chance to bloom? This overthinking, this hesitation, often comes from an underlying fear of failure or judgment. But here's a simple truth. Failure is not the enemy. It's part of the process. Every successful person will tell you that their greatest achievements came after several failed attempts. And those failures weren't failures at all. They were lessons learned, stepping stones to success. What happens when you let go of the fear of making the wrong move? A woman in her 40s, for instance, might have been sitting on an idea for months, convinced it wasn't ready yet or that no one would be interested. But the moment she stopped overthinking and launched, she discovered not only that the world was waiting, but that the lessons from the early steps helped her refine her approach in ways she never imagined. What could happen for you if you take action now without worrying about it being perfect? The key is realizing that not making a decision is, in itself, a decision. One to stay stuck, stagnant, and unfulfilled. If you never take that first step, you remain in the same place, month after month, year after year. But just imagine if, instead of overthinking the challenges, you focused on the excitement of the possibilities. Are you waiting for the perfect moment? Newsflash, the perfect moment often doesn't exist. Perfection is a trap. The time to act is now, not when every variable aligns just right. The best way to get things done is not through overthinking, but through doing, making mistakes, and learning from them. After all, you'll only know if something will work by trying it. Why waste another day trapped by indecision when the future you desire is waiting just beyond your comfort zone? Think about it for a moment. How many times have you put off a decision because you were afraid it wouldn't turn out right? Yet in reality, the longer you wait, the more chances slip away, leaving you with the weight of regret. You're not just delaying action, you're robbing yourself of progress. When you start pushing past the fear of making mistakes, the world starts to open up. Take that next step, even if it feels uncomfortable at first. Remember, every successful journey starts with an imperfect first step. Is your fear of mistakes bigger than your dream? If not, why wait any longer? By breaking free from the trap of overthinking, you'll not only make progress, but also grow in ways you never thought possible. The lesson here is simple. Stop waiting for the right time and just start, no matter how small the step might be. What's stopping you? Number 4. Is your mind resilient enough to handle the journey? The journey toward our dreams is rarely smooth. It's more of a winding road full of bumps, detours, and unexpected challenges. The real question is, can your mind handle the journey, or will you let every obstacle stop you in your tracks? It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a new goal or dream, but what happens when the going gets tough? When the dreams feel further away than ever, can you keep moving forward with resilience? There's a man in his 40s who once began a project with high hopes and excitement. He dove into it with passion, but over time the pressure built. Setbacks came one after another. At first, they felt like temporary hiccups, but slowly they became bigger and harder to ignore. The stress was mounting, and he found himself questioning whether it was even worth continuing. But here's where things took an interesting turn. He didn't give up. He found a way to adapt to the chaos, to press through the doubts, and in doing so, he learned a critical lesson about resilience. He realized that the real challenge wasn't the setbacks themselves. It was whether or not his mind was strong enough to deal with them and persevere. How many of us have faced something similar? How many times have you encountered setbacks and considered quitting because the struggle seemed too much to bear? Resilience is built in those moments. It's not about avoiding difficulties, but about learning to navigate through them without losing sight of the end goal. When things get difficult, our minds often create a spiral of negativity. We wonder if we're good enough, if we're smart enough, if we're strong enough to handle the journey. But here's the key. Resilience isn't about having all the answers right away. It's about embracing the unknown with a willingness to keep going. Think about a woman in her 30s who faced many obstacles in the early stages of her business. There were moments when the stress almost got the best of her. But instead of abandoning her dreams, she embraced each challenge as an opportunity to grow. Every failure became a lesson, every rejection a stepping stone. She built her resilience over time, knowing that it wasn't about avoiding hard times, but about learning how to handle them when they came. So let me ask you, are you willing to accept that challenges and setbacks are simply a part of the journey? Can you understand that your mind's response to these hardships will determine how far you can go? Having a resilient mindset is not about toughing it out or ignoring emotions. It's about being self-aware, accepting your feelings, and choosing not to let those feelings control you. Can you bounce back quickly, even when things don't go as planned? That's what will push you forward. The truth is that resilience grows when you keep moving forward, even when you don't feel like it. When setbacks hit, it's easy to fall into self-doubt. Am I capable of this? Can I succeed? Will it ever work out? Those thoughts, as real as they may feel, are not the truth. The truth is that no obstacle is permanent. Even in your hardest moments, your resilience is what will allow you to turn things around. It's not always easy, though. The road will be rocky, and sometimes you'll feel like you're carrying a weight too heavy to bear. But think about this. Why do some people thrive in adversity while others fall apart? The answer lies in how they manage their mental resilience. How do they handle stress and bounce back from failure? What separates those who achieve their dreams from those who give up is their ability to maintain mental strength when faced with hardships. Are you prepared to face the unexpected challenges that will come your way? If you can train your mind to remain calm, focused, and adaptable in the face of adversity, your journey toward your dreams will not only be possible, it will be a victory waiting to be claimed. When obstacles arise, don't see them as deterrents, but as growth opportunities, testing your mental fortitude. The more you endure, the stronger you become. Take a moment to reflect. If you faced another major challenge in your pursuit today, how would you handle it? Will you lean into the pressure or run away from it? Are you ready to fortify your mind and push forward, no matter what's thrown your way? The resilience of your mind will define how you handle the bumps and twists ahead, and ultimately, how far you'll go toward achieving your dreams. The journey may not always be easy, but with the right mindset, there's no limit to what you can overcome. Can your mind carry you through, or is your dream too heavy to hold? It's all in your hands. Number 5. Are you running on empty? Many of us set out to achieve our dreams with great enthusiasm and hope, but along the way, we often end up running on empty. How many times have you felt burnt out, as though you were doing everything possible but still not making progress? It's easy to get caught up in the daily grind, pushing ourselves too hard and forgetting that true success comes from both persistence and energy management. A man in his mid-40s was constantly chasing after his dreams, working long hours, sacrificing his free time, and trying to be everywhere for everyone. He always said, "I'm just too busy," but soon he realized something was off. Despite his best efforts, he found himself feeling drained, unfocused, and frustrated. His mind was overwhelmed, and his body was showing signs of fatigue. The energy he had in the beginning was nowhere to be found. That's when he understood an important lesson. You can't achieve your dreams by running on empty. You need to refuel, recharge, and most importantly, take care of yourself first. Have you ever pushed yourself beyond your limits, telling yourself you'll rest later or that you're too busy to take a break? Sooner or later, the body and mind reach their breaking point, and no amount of willpower can replace what's been drained away. It doesn't matter how determined you are. If you don't take the time to refuel, you won't have the energy needed to keep moving forward. It's when you push yourself to the point of exhaustion that you often begin to lose focus and clarity, which only makes the journey longer. Think about a woman in her 30s who tried to juggle family, work, and her passion project, never asking for help and never taking a moment for herself. She powered through, trying to prove something, but after a while she began to feel like a machine, numb, disconnected, and unsure if it was all worth it. One day, she finally realized that nothing truly successful comes from a place of depletion. She learned that if she didn't start paying attention to her own needs and well-being, there would be no energy left for her dreams or the people she cared about. Can you relate to that feeling? When was the last time you genuinely paused to think about what you need to recharge? If your energy levels are constantly empty, it's impossible to stay connected to your purpose and dreams. That's the thing about running on fumes. You may look busy, but in the end, it's unsustainable. An overworked body and a mind that's constantly fatigued won't produce the creativity or focus needed for success. It's a truth that many overlook. The best way to fuel your dreams is by prioritizing your health and well-being. This isn't about resting when you feel like you've hit a wall or reaching the burnout phase. It's about regular maintenance, taking time daily to reset and refresh your mind, body, and spirit. How much better would you perform if you weren't constantly drained, constantly moving on sheer determination? How much more successful could you be if you learned how to set boundaries and recognize when it's time to step back? In the quest for our dreams, it's easy to get caught up in the false belief that pushing harder and longer is the answer. However, real success comes not from sprinting endlessly, but from understanding when to pace yourself and when to rest. A man in his 40s, reflecting on the years he spent chasing ambition without stopping, shared that he learned it was not his work ethic that needed fixing, but his approach to taking care of himself. Success isn't just about what you can accomplish, but how well you can maintain your well-being while doing it. Think about the moments in your life when you felt your best. Energetic, focused, and eager to take on the world. Were you exhausted at the time, or did you feel energized and aligned with your purpose? Can you cultivate that energy again by focusing on your own well-being, setting limits on how much you take on, and honoring the time you need to recharge? As you continue on the journey toward your dreams, ask yourself this: are you giving yourself enough time to refuel, or are you just pushing forward at all costs? Because if you keep running on empty, your journey will only get harder, and your goals will stay farther out of reach. Isn't it time to stop, take a breath, and recharge so you can move forward with strength, clarity, and purpose? Number 6. Who's in your corner? As you work toward your dreams and goals, have you stopped to think about who's really in your corner? It's easy to get swept up in the daily hustle and forget that the journey toward success isn't meant to be walked alone. The people you surround yourself with can make or break your progress, whether they offer support or sow doubt. But here's the thing: not everyone close to you necessarily has your best interests at heart. A man in his 40s who's been through both failures and victories once recalled a turning point in his career. Years ago, When he started pursuing his dream of opening his own business, he thought he had the support of everyone around him. But in reality, some people in his life were far more skeptical than supportive. They weren't bad people, just uninformed or scared of change. It wasn't until he learned to filter out the negativity and focus on those who truly believed in him that he felt the spark reignite. When you stop listening to the critics and start listening to the supporters, your world changes, he said with a knowing smile. How many times have you shared your ambitions, only to be met with doubt or dismissal? It's frustrating, right? We've all been there. Yet we still give these voices space in our minds. But what if instead of letting those voices drag you down, you focused on the ones cheering you on? Whether it's a close friend who listens without judgment, a mentor who's walked the path before you, or even a colleague who's seen your potential long before you did. The power of the people you choose to keep close is undeniable. Surround yourself with those who lift you, and your energy and confidence will naturally follow. Reflecting on a woman in her 30s who struggled with self-doubt despite having a promising career, she once asked herself why she never seemed to feel good enough. She realized it wasn't her own skills that were in question. It was the constant presence of negative voices around her. Family members, well-meaning but overly cautious, often downplayed her successes. At a crucial crossroads, she had to choose between stepping away from those who sowed insecurity or letting their opinions continue to cloud her future. It wasn't easy, but she decided to move forward by seeking out like-minded individuals who believed in the pursuit of dreams, no matter how ambitious. And suddenly, things began to shift. Is it possible you're listening to the wrong voices right now? Who in your inner circle truly supports your dreams, and who simply reflects their fears onto you? It's a tough thing to admit, especially when it involves people you care about. But the sooner you realize that not every opinion matters, the easier it will be to filter out negativity and focus on positive influences. It's not about cutting people off. It's about protecting your space from doubt and shifting your focus toward growth. If you take a moment to evaluate who's in your corner, you might find that you've been carrying unnecessary burdens for far too long. Maybe it's time to distance yourself from people who drag you down. After all, do you want to build your dream life on the foundation of someone else's fears or on the belief of those who want to see you succeed? Let's get real for a second. Building a future isn't about trying to please everyone around you. Some of the best advice you'll hear will come from those who've already gone through the same struggles. They'll understand the hurdles and challenges that can't be predicted on paper. They've been through it, survived it, and are now in a position to offer genuine guidance without any hidden agenda. But here's the rub. You're responsible for who you let into your life and, more importantly, into your mental space. How do you ensure you're surrounded by positivity and support? The first step is to reflect on the relationships you're nurturing. Is the person beside you offering valuable insight and encouragement, or are they draining you of your energy? In the end, the truth remains. No one reaches their highest potential alone. But while it's important to find allies, it's equally vital to remember that not all relationships deserve a place on your journey. When you create space for people who believe in you, you'll soon discover that success feels a lot less solitary. So ask yourself, are you spending too much time listening to voices that don't align with your purpose? Are you willing to clear that space to let in those who will truly support your vision? Once you fill your circle with the right people, everything changes, beginning with the way you see yourself and the way others see you too. Number 7. Do you have a purpose that drives you? Do you have a purpose that drives you? I'm talking about that one goal, that one vision, that gets you out of bed in the morning when everything else seems to be pulling you in every direction. For many, the search for purpose is an ongoing journey, a question asked over and over, sometimes with no clear answer. But here's the truth. Without a purpose, it's easy to drift aimlessly through life, reacting to everything around you instead of actively steering your own ship. A man in his 40s who's learned this lesson the hard way once shared with me how he spent many years in a career he didn't love. He was good at what he did and earned well enough, but every day felt like a grind. One day he realized that although his work provided security, it didn't give him the fire to wake up excited in the morning. That realization changed everything. He decided to start pursuing something he'd always wanted, a small business that reflected his true passions. "The moment I found my purpose, it was like everything else aligned," he told me, almost in disbelief. The change was dramatic, not just in his work, but in how he viewed life itself. Why do so many of us wander through life without a clear purpose? Well, it's easy to get distracted. Society tells us what we should want: a steady job, a comfortable lifestyle, maybe a couple of vacations a year. But those things alone, they don't spark a fire that keeps you going through the tough days. When the purpose isn't clear, life becomes more about managing problems than building something meaningful. Have you ever stopped and asked yourself, what would my life look like if I was fully invested in a purpose? Maybe you already have an answer in mind, but the real question is, how many of us take steps every day to ensure that we are living out that purpose, or are we merely existing? Without purpose, we rely too much on the world's distractions. We find ourselves drifting, stuck in an endless loop of routine. Take the story of a woman in her late 30s who was deeply unhappy at work. Every morning was a battle with dread, and every weekend was filled with catching up on rest just to make it through the next week. Then, after months of self-reflection, she realized she'd been living according to someone else's standards. Her parents' expectations, her peers' success stories, even the typical societal milestones of life. That's when it clicked. She didn't want what everyone else had. She wanted to do something different, to help others in a meaningful way. She made a bold choice to change careers and began training to become a therapist. It was scary, but it was her purpose. Since then, her life has taken on a deeper meaning, and she says, "I'm no longer chasing someone else's dream. I'm living mine." Is your purpose something that energizes you, or does it drain you? Think about your day. When you wake up, what's the first thing you think about? If it's about the grind, just getting through the day, or what others think of your actions, maybe it's time to step back and reassess. But when you wake up with clarity, knowing what you want to build, create, or offer to the world, the momentum begins to shift. Things fall into place because you're pulling the strings of your life, not waiting to be tugged along by external forces. Not everyone is born with clarity on their purpose. For some, it's a discovery over time, maybe through trial and error. Sometimes it takes looking back at all the moments when things didn't quite click to realize the pattern. But when you find it, when you can look at your life and say, this is what I'm here to do, the path ahead becomes clearer, and obstacles seem more like stepping stones than roadblocks. The power of having a purpose isn't in simply knowing what you want to achieve, but in how it colors every decision you make. When you focus on that purpose, distractions fade, and every task, no matter how small, becomes meaningful. No longer do you find yourself jumping from task to task without clarity. Instead, you make deliberate choices that fuel your mission. Ask yourself, what drives me? What makes my heart beat a little faster when I think about the future? If you can't answer this yet, that's okay. The real question is, what can you do today that brings you a step closer to discovering that driving force? Remember, the life you're living isn't the one anyone else imagined for you. It's your journey. And when you attach it to something greater than yourself, that is when you truly begin to move forward. Not in reaction to life's circumstances, but in pursuit of something meaningful that only you can define. Does your current life reflect your deepest purpose? Or is it time to redefine the path and walk toward the future you've always dreamed of? So, there you have it. We've covered a lot in this journey about the power of focusing on yourself and your dreams. From taking full responsibility for your decisions to the importance of having a clear purpose that drives you, these lessons are about building a foundation for a life that aligns with who you truly are. When you focus on yourself, on your values, your dreams, and your personal growth, you begin to live a life of purpose. The world can try to distract you, but when you commit to daily practices, like creating your own routine or embracing the wisdom of focusing on your own needs, you'll find more clarity and peace in your day-to-day. Now, this isn't a one-time shift. It's an ongoing practice. Like anything that's worth achieving, consistency is key. By applying these Stoic insights to your life, you'll be better equipped to handle challenges and live more authentically. So, let me ask you, what is it that drives you every day? Are you living according to your values and purpose? Or is there something more waiting for you? I'd love to hear about your personal journey, your thoughts, and the actions you're taking to focus on your dreams. Don't forget to like and subscribe to Stoic Narratives Official for more insights and inspiration. Share your reflections below. Let's continue the conversation and help one another grow.